Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome all to another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. Let's keep the music going in the background for just a minute. What's going on, y'all? Hope you guys are doing well on this Sunday night, October 12th. Got a Panthers victory right in the house for the Carolina Panthers. And my gosh, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good, Panthers Nation? The Carolina Panthers are 500. 500, and it's not after week one, folks. There is momentum building here in the Carolinas. There's a lot to unpack from this game. We're going to talk all about it, but I hope you guys are doing well. We'll turn the music off for just a little bit and get this show rocking and rolling. We are going to give folks a little bit of time to get in here because we just went live. First thing, as we officially get this party started, folks, I want to let you know, if you are a Panthers fan, which, I mean, maybe you're not a Panthers fan and you're just a fan of the content and me. Who knows? Who knows? We are excited. I am excited to be bringing back the Two Growls, One Roar handle on Twitter. I don't know if I'm going to do it on Instagram, but Twitter is where I'm most active. X, we all know what it is. So if you're looking exclusively for Carolina Panthers content, it is all going to be under that handle. So be sure to go out. Eventually we'll start doing this show from there as well. I'm still staying here as far as the two shows, one host. I am going to change that handle so it's a little more aligned, something along Carolina Dad. We'll figure it out. Primary purpose is I've gotten a really good niche here with the Panthers and the Panthers content. So I'm doubling down on what I do best and the brand that I have. So we're taking it full on social media with X. You're going to get everything Panthers. So maybe you're not a fan of the University of North Carolina. Maybe you're not a fan of the Gamecocks or college football or any of my other sports takes. And you can just say, you know what, I only want to follow you over here, and that's perfectly fine. As far as YouTube specifically, sorry, I don't have a voice. YouTube specifically, the Two Growls, One Roar channel is going to stay the same, as well as all the podcasts. We are officially going to spin out and do another channel now. It's just everything made sense at this point to do it this way based off of some of the things that I've learned as we've gotten here. So anyways, appreciate you guys as always tuning in. We're kind of back on, a pretty normal schedule. I will say this last week, didn't get to post a lot. We were busy, went to the game. You guys know that. We had a just insane weekend. It took me a day or two to officially recover. By the time we get into our post-game breakdown, by the time we get into the preview for the Cowboys, like the week is done. And for the folks that do follow me here closely, out here in Brunswick County, you guys know that my Thursday nights and Friday nights are spent watching high school football, which I absolutely love. And so we got, Thursday night game, Friday night game going all over in the area. Very busy following through with all that. So it's impossible for me to record. And then Saturday gets here and I watch college football all day on Saturdays because that's how we roll. But we're going to get into it, folks. And I hope the connection is working well for you guys, because on my end, it's telling me I have one bar. I hope that's not the case, and I hope it's not choppy. But we will weather the storm as we are weathering some weird stuff. Like, I don't pay attention to weather. Just letting you guys know, I just wake up and whatever it is, it is. Our oldest, Nolan, he loves the weather, man. He will tell me when a hurricane is 10 days out or he thinks that this thing's going to develop. And I say, I don't care. Not that I don't care to him, but like until it's at my front door, I wake up in the morning, okay, this is what the weather's going to be. So we got some nasty stuff. So I hope that my connection right now isn't as choppy. We're going to get into the Panthers' dominant performance. You take away the Bryce Young interception, which was not his fault, and I was listening to the Carolina Panthers post-game radio broadcast, which I mean I recommend doing if you're a Panthers fan. If you're a diehard that needs every little ounce of information that you can gather, listen to that stuff because you do get some good insights. And then Dave Canales comes on. They'll talk to a few of the players in the post game, separate stuff from what you hear that's posted online. So it's nice to hear that stuff as it comes through. But listening in, man, I got to tell you, this was a big win for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to get into everything that it means. I literally just lost track of where I was going with that, but it's okay. We were here to welcome you guys into the show, and let's go ahead and do that. Christopherin says, finally is right. Talk about that win. Fantastic performance by the Carolina Panthers. I know where I was going. Now see things. I talk to you guys for 2 seconds, and then I get back on track with what I'm actually trying to get out here. And we're going to get a check. Actually, let's get this pulled up too. So I was going back to the post game and the commentary that they made in the post game on the radio. And if you can't listen to it live on the radio, one, I'll plug for Coastal Carolina, Modern Rock, my man Randy Slack. I'm always going to plug him in the station because I go on ESPN Wilmington. He's awesome. So listen, if you are in this area, you can listen to Modern Rock to get your post-game breakdown. Anyways, in the post-game, they were talking through Panthers staff was, not the staff, but the folks that are doing the radio show in the post-game, how we should have a statistic for drops or tipped passes that result in an interception that aren't really on the quarterback. Yes, it's going to go in the box score as a mistake for Bryce Young, but we all know watching that live and going back on it, you just need a little asterisk. And most importantly, because we, and not just we, but society, when we evaluate players, the first thing we do is go to a box score and you look at it and you say, okay, well, he's thrown 10 interceptions or 9 interceptions, but you don't get the analysis unless you're going back over every single snap, which nobody is really doing, maybe 0.5% of America, to be able to see, okay, on these particular interceptions, was it actually the quarterback's fault? So I am all in favor of creating a new statistic that eliminates interceptions that are not the quarterback's fault. Like if it goes through your hands and it's tipped up, like, come on. Anyways, you wipe that away and you talk about a performance by this Carolina that was almost as perfect as you could get down the stretch. A lot of key moments, defense that's finding its rhythm. We could probably spend the whole episode talking about Rico Dowdle, which we'll talk about his performance, but let's put it into perspective what Dowdle has done. There's a lot of things that he's done, but looking back 2 weeks ago, coming into that game against the Miami Dolphins, a guy that, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me, which we can get it later, roughly 80, 90 rushing yards on the season. So probably top 50-ish in rushing yards in the entire NFL, folks. He is now number 3 in the NFL in rushing yards based off of the performance that he's had these past 2 weeks. It is absolutely ridiculous. And to see him be able to do it, of course, with the offensive line that's had to change and move and figure out who's who and what's what, performance is unreal. He told the Dallas Cowboys to buckle up coming into this game. They didn't buckle up, as he said. He really did back up that performance. I don't think I was skeptical that he could do it, but I don't think I envisioned him doing it the way that he did. Most scrimmage yards in a game by a Panther in Carolina Panthers history. You think about that. Like 2 weeks ago, this guy is barely getting any touches. He's barely getting into his rhythm. You think Chuba Hubbard goes down, and a lot of us are like, okay, well, we picked up this other 1,000-yard back from Dallas in the offseason, maybe there is a possibility that he's going to find it, but I don't think we could have anticipated that he would find it this fast. Now the Carolina Panthers have themselves in a prime situation. They really do. A defense that's starting to figure it out. Let's not forget Dallas Cowboys, one of the best offenses, one of the best offense in the NFL in a lot of categories coming into this game. Carolina Panthers absolutely shut down Javonte Williams, former North Carolina Tar Heel, and put him in his place. They kept him in check, and they continue to check the boxes. They continue to figure it out. They continue to make plays, man. That's the thing that really matters, is they are starting to deliver. Nobody expects it to be a perfect performance. We even heard Dave Canales in the post-game, in the locker room victory speech. He's like, Dak Prescott, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He's going to get his. Pickens is going to get his, unfortunately, and luckily we didn't have to see CeeDee Lamb paired with it. But players are going to find a way. The best in the NFL do. You just have to be able to limit it, and you have to be able to respond, and you have to be able to make plays in crucial situations, and that's exactly what the Carolina Panthers did. Seeing the Bobby Brown, I mean, we could talk about A'Shaun Robinson, we could talk about Derrick Brown, but that defensive front really starting to find its footing. And again, man, the Panthers are in prime position. You guys know we're going to break down the game coming up this week, but it's hard. We're in victory mode right now. It's a celebration. But in the back of our minds, as we look ahead to a team, the New York Jets, that is yet to win a game, maybe it is a trap game. I don't know. But the Carolina Panthers have to figure out how to win that game. Getting above 500, getting a winning record in the month of October, man, this team has been dying to get to this place. Fans have been dying to get to this place just to give us a glimmer of hope. I'm going to check the comments in just a second, guys. Almost done going through the initial breakdown as we usually do. But I know coming into this 3-game stretch, you even go back a few weeks ago, coming off the loss to New England Patriots, the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flows of this team, just finding out, can we put back-to-back performances together? This team is undefeated at home, which is great. Have to figure out how to go and do it on the road now. Bryce Young has struggled on the road. The team itself has struggled on the road under Dave Canales and Bryce Young at the helm. Figure out how to go up. And, I mean, they've got an opportunity to do it. Panthers fans, I know, starting to feel a little bit of momentum building, and I think it's in the locker room. But if you would have told me, I always looked, when we were at the point where we were 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever, we talked about this 3-game stretch here for the Panthers. You looked at the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and then the New York Jets, and we said, you got to get 2 wins. And I said I would be happy if the Carolina Panthers were sitting at 3-4. Now they have a really good opportunity to get to 4-3, and we're not going to look too far ahead past the New York Jets. We know what sits in front of the Panthers now, Buffalo Bills team that's beatable. I'm going to tell you, the New Orleans Saints may not be a good football team win-loss wise, but the New Orleans Saints are a better football team than people are giving them. They're competitive. They're in a lot of games. And then, of course, the Green Bay Packers, who also, again, winnable. You start to stack this stuff up, and it's what Dave Canales talked about in the post-game as well. The players are starting to believe because they are seeing the results, and all this outside noise that we've had criticizing him, and he's too nice, and he's this, and he's that, and he's not figuring out how to get these guys ready. He can't prepare. The offense doesn't look great. He can't perform beyond the opening drive that's scripted. He's starting to figure it out, and the team is buying in. And as he said, when they realize the work that they're doing from when they get in on Monday, watching the film, all the way up leading through the prep throughout the week, unreal. Last little tidbit that we'll say, and we'll get into the comments and we'll talk more about the game itself. One of the pieces that may be under the radar for a lot of fans that aren't as in tune with everything that's happening is George Lee. And I want to make sure I get this right, because I just want to make sure I do, for the Carolina Panthers. Give me 1 second. So I'm calling him out. He is George Lee. He is the game management coordinator. And you say, what the heck is that? Well, we've started to hear some bits and pieces for how he's fitting into the mix. His name's been brought up a few times, but you think about these weird situations, these weird scenarios that come up. You got to be able to practice for those, whether it's a fire drill, field goal team, whether it's a unique situation that you haven't seen. We heard from Dave Canales that George Lee's name come up today as someone that helped him practice for the exact moment that happened at the end of the game where ETN had the opportunity to score a touchdown. Now, I know that Bryce Young, it was confirmed, told ETN they're probably going to give you, let you score, get the first down, and go down. And that's exactly what was coached up. But a lot of people have criticized Canales. A lot of people have criticized this team and saying they're not prepared, they're not ready, they're not ready for the moment, they don't know what they're doing. They're there. It's just the execution, and a lot of the execution that's happened up to this point is the Carolina Panthers honestly beating themselves. We go back and look at that game against at Arizona. You look at the moments against New England. I mean, revisionist history is what it is. But, as you start to flutter around with these things, you're like, oh, this team could have 4 to 5 wins right now had they not beat themselves. But they're starting to figure it out. But I think that's another piece in the hat of this team, just knowing the situation, knowing what to do, and then, of course, setting it up for your kicker. I personally was hopeful that we were not going to see the same thing that we saw way back when against the Texans that first time where they just kept jumping off sides 2 years ago in Bryce Young's rookie season. So anyways, let's get into the comments. We'll break down the game as we always do and keep the show rolling on. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. Rock Jones says, keep pounding. And yeah, as we do talk a little college football, we got a lot of folks tuned in here. Tough year for the Tar Heels, always. I mean, the chaos that's there. Not to go too far down a tangent, but there is part of me that's like, can you pick up the phone and call James Franklin? Me and my father-in-law were joking that maybe there's an opportunity to trade Bill Belichick for James Franklin, some type of scenario, even though he's not there. Anyways, we'll keep the show rolling. John A7063 said, let's go Panthers, keep pounding. Joseph Aaron is also a Gamecock and Panthers fan. Sorry about that loss last night to all the Gamecocks. Mint City Matthew, what a win. What a win indeed. And I mean, I was not at the game, so I don't know the number of Cowboy fans that were in attendance. I don't know how loud it was. I don't know if they took over the stadium. Relatively speaking, at least from a TV perspective, I couldn't tell. I think there might have been a moment or two where you can hear some of the cheers where it was a little bit louder, but felt like a pretty good showing by the Panthers. But I will say I saw some people posting some of the videos, Panthers fans posting the videos of the Cowboys fans as they were leaving the stadium. Of course, having a little bit of fun with that, which I'm all for. Take that every day. Merritt said, incredible win. Incredible win indeed. It really was, because it felt like another one of those games. You go back to last week, the Panthers are overcoming the trouble that they put themselves into. You think about the Tetero McMillan tipped pass interception, and then the personal foul by Rico Dowdle. That was not a personal foul by, I don't know. There was some questionable stuff that happened through this one, but to me, you look at Dowdle going and just knocking out whoever that Cowboys player was. He was ready to hit anybody. Not a personal foul, in my opinion, but it set the Dallas Cowboys up in prime position. Opportunity, easy score, really, right in their footsteps. And past Panthers teams likely cave in those moments. Like we've seen it, just not able to perform, backing down. But this team continued to fight. And Bryce Young, too, really good day. The offense, I really think the offense is best and thrives with Bryce Young under center. It's a totally different game. I don't know, on the broadcast, they were talking about Bryce Young not really being comfortable yet with having his back to the defense. I understand it. I mean, I'm not a quarterback, but I can understand. You play football, you don't really want to have your back to the defense at any point, because you never know as you turn around what's going to be there. and it gives you like no time to react. So when you're doing your drop back or your play action, you don't know as soon as you turn your head around what's going to be there. Versus when you're in shotgun, everything's in front of you. You can read it straight on and you take it. It's a much easier place to dissect. But being under center is much more effective, and it does give you the play action or the ability to roll out. And I think Bryce Young just plays a lot better. I know he's got to get more comfortable in that, but much better compared to when he's in the shotgun, especially when we get into these empty sets. Now, definitely made some plays down the stretch, and I'm kind of bouncing around a few things because they're all coming to mind as we go through this. But one of the things, like talking specifically about the Panthers now, you think about this win and where they're being able to get to without JT Sanders in the lineup, without Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker is going to be back. Can we take a moment also to shout out Jimmy Horn Jr.? Because I got to tell you, Jimmy Horn Jr.'s performance, man, he continues to show us a different element of the offense, being able to get him involved, speed, motion sweeps. It's nice. It's nice to have that type of player mixed in with the other ones that we have, even moving T-Mac back there and kind of motion back behind Bryce Young a few times. But that element is big. Where I'm going is I do think as we've started to see like who's who and what's what, probably Hunter Renfrow moving to the back of the line. And it's not a knock on him. I know he came up with a very clutch catch there on the last drive, right into the game. I don't know that Hunter Renfrow's spot is going to be there, and that's fine. Like, I think the veteran that he is, if as long as your numbers check out on the team, keep him there as a backup. But I do think this is a good opportunity, especially as we start to work in Jalen Coker and get Jimmy Horn Jr. snaps. And we've seen XL thriving, and of course T-Mac with 2 touchdowns. And you're going to, again, throw in JT, Tommy Tremble. How about Tommy Tremble continuing to try to hurdle defenders? Also, shout out to George Pickens on his hurdle, because that was absolutely ridiculous, just making it look too freaking easy out there. But Tommy Tremble trying to get his hurdle in as well. But it's nice to see the fluidity of this team building. And again, defense slowly coming along. Biggest weakness on the defensive side of the ball, outside of trying to get a few more pressures, trying to get a few more sacks. Like we know there's some struggles. Run defense has stepped up. Linebackers are playing much better. Still some tough spots on the communication. Secondary, as far as over the top safety, got some work to do. But given the state of where we are, we know we're not just going to pick someone off the street. Now, I'm curious to see how aggressive, if at all, the Panthers are going to be heading into the trade deadline, because you now look at 3-3 again. If they can get to 4-3, if there's a team out there that just doesn't have anything, and maybe the Panthers can bolster, adding in a safety, adding in a line. I don't have anyone necessarily a pass rusher, but Panthers could be buyers compared to years past where they've had to go into the trade deadline as sellers. There's a good opportunity for them as we let this thing play out to see where it goes. So good stuff there. I'll keep it rolling. Could be a post radio breakdown. And a lot of people are asking it, and I am too. I don't have the answer. I don't know how you balance this out once we officially do have Chuba Hubbard back in the lineup. I'm going to guess that Chuba Hubbard likely should be available this week. Like, I would be surprised if we don't see him. But where you kind of look at this, you look at Rico Dowdle, I think you have to continue to feed him. You have to keep Dowdle involved. The struggle, I think, that the Carolina Panthers potentially, and I'm not going to say that it's going to be the struggle, but you look at Rico Dowdle, 30 carries. Number one, we ran the ball more than we passed it, which, like, under Dave Canales hasn't been a thing. Dave Canales has talked about wanting to run the ball. He's preached that is his philosophy, but it's been pretty rare. Now, there are circumstances, getting behind, trying to play, like, that we haven't really had a lot of opportunities to be able to come out and establish the run. But you look at the last 2 weeks here. Last week, 9 yards per carry, had 23 carries. The team ran the ball 32 times. So about 32 carries, or was exactly 32 carries last week, 38 carries for the team this week. So maybe you're going to be splitting this 15 to 17 carries per back. It's a good predicament to be in. I think, though, like I said, I'm either feeding both, kind of splitting it down the middle and starting with Dowdle and then seeing where it goes. Or one of the things that you have the opportunity to do is have them both in there. Now, you can't give both of them the ball at the same time, but we have seen Rico Dowdle getting involved in the pass game. That's one of the other pieces. Like, as we talk about this 2-week run, it's one of the things that he did in Dallas, and one of the things that we were excited about, because first probably 4 weeks of the season, everyone looked at this team and said, well, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle are the same. Like, they're the same exact running back, but we're starting to see them kind of getting into their own. And one of the pieces with Rico Dowdle is the receiving. He led the team today in receiving yards, 56 yards on the day. Going back to last week, he ended up having, 3 for 28. But I think there's that dynamic. I'm glad it's not my decision to have to make, of course. Carolina Panthers, though, setting themselves up, Dave Canales, and if you continue to run the ball effectively and play defense, I think we have all been here. We've all seen it. If you're a Panthers fan, or if you've been a Panthers fan for a decent amount of time, it gives you a chance. Gives you a chance to win, and then you pair that in the way that Bryce Young is able to be, and I don't have this in front, but it feels like passer rating wise, this has to be one of the better games of his entire career. That 114.8, 17 and 25, 199 yards, average 8 yards per pass, which is on the higher end for Bryce. We're used to 5, 6, 7 yards per pass attempt. So I'll take that all day long. Merritt said they actually look like they know what they're doing. Yes, they do. They actually do look like they know what they're doing, which is a positive. Falcons and Cowboys fans, man, tell them all day. Steve-O said we have to let Horn run with the number one. I'm guessing number ones, the group of number one wide receivers. I definitely think he has to be in there for sure. Wide left productions, going back to the secondary, as we were talking about over here earlier, Mike Jackson got burnt like toast against Pickens. Pickens was carving up our secondary. He had a fantastic day. 9 catches, 168 yards, 18.7 yards per pass. His one touchdown. And that one touchdown, it was a little frustrating to me, the one that he ended up scoring. If it's the one that I'm recalling, things run together, but I'm 99% sure it was. Because Dak Prescott audibled out of whatever he was doing 2 or 3 times, and just kind of this back and forth, and then hits him wide open run. Yeah, unfortunately, that's going back to, will the Panthers potentially look to do something at the trade deadline? Possibility, I still think, for the safety position. Now, they're running with what they have. I think it's like you're winning games, and when you win games, you kind of minimize some of those, or it's not as big of an issue as when you're losing. So I think it's just going to depend on where the Panthers kind of sit. They also did a great job, Greg Olsen, on the broadcast of I believe it was the first touchdown. It might not have been the first touchdown, but one of the touchdowns early in the game. I think it was the one to Ferguson. Can't remember, where they had lined up on trips, and Olsen talked about them doing it to the short side of the field, having the safety having to cover and cheat over to the wide side just because there's more space there. And they just dialed up a really good play call. I will tell you, I think looking at the Dallas Cowboys coming into this season, and I said it when we did the pregame, I thought they were going to be a bad football team, just considering kind of how they ripped things apart and had got rid of Micah Parsons. And I personally wasn't one that bought into Schottenheimer. Just kind of felt like, okay, you had McCarthy. It felt like McCarthy knew what he was doing. You looked at it and you're like, okay, Cowboys, is this going to be a thing? Pretty competitive team, all things considered. Defense definitely has some issues, but that offense can move the ball. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind if Dak Prescott had gotten a chance that he would have found a way. I think that's just the type of day that they were having on that side. These Drive Dine Discover One said these teams haven't figured out yet that they can't run at Derrick Brown. My gosh, man, he's looked like a monster out there. He really has, and I know a lot of people have talked about his performance this year coming off the injury, what he was going to look like. I mean, he continues to find ways. I love, and I mean, I don't know how many people like pay attention to some of this, but I love to watch him when the play goes away from him, or it looks like it might not be in his reach, or even a play where it's a short pass. You watch the screen. If it's like within 2, 3, 4, 5 yards of his vicinity and he can get there, he's going in and laying a hit. And that dude is a massive man. And you just see him coming in, cleaning up the pile or whatever it is going on. I would not want to take a hit from him at all. Not at all. Oh, man. Rock said, over the hill, Bill and Mike Shula got to go. Yeah, I feel for the Gamecock fans as I was waiting. It ties into Panthers. Panthers fans have had their dose of Shula here years ago, and I could see Gamecocks lighting it up last night, not pleased with how this offense is going for South Carolina. Rock said, it was good to see Jimmy Horn Jr. getting some playing time and putting the defense on their heels. I agree. He really has added a new piece to this. And you look at the 40 times, and I think this is why like game speed and just quickness are two different things, because relatively speaking, pretty close 40 time to Xavier Legette. So when you talk about down speed running, but there is a element to some of these smaller guys, the shiftiness, their ability to move, the quickness with their feet. It may not translate into, downfield straight line speed. And that's what the dynamic that he's able to bring. And you think about the play where it was a jet sweeper that passed it over, and he like makes contact with Dowdle as they're going, kind of having the mesh there with the RPO, whatever it was at the time. Could have fallen down, able to keep his balance and then gain a few yards. But I agree, continuing to get him involved in this rushing attack, passing attack, offense, big thing for the Panthers. Yeah, Ryan said he's happy for Rico Dowdle, an incredible 2 games. I mean, it really is. I don't know. I don't have any of the stats, like Panthers all-time stats, but it feels like back-to-back games has to be one of the best. I'm going to guess, go out on a limb and say there's probably not many back-to-back game performances by a Carolina Panthers running back that top this. And we had Christian McCaffrey. I think that is one of the wildest things to me too. When you talk about most scrimmage yards by a player in Panthers history, you're putting him up there with Christian McCaffrey, who we all know just how good he was here in Carolina. For him to be able to do that is unreal. And he's here on a 1-year tryout basis, pretty much to earn it, to show the NFL and whoever that he should be paid. I mean, if he continues to play like this, he's probably going to put him in position to get a nice 2 or 3 year contract. I hope the Panthers can keep him, but I know they've got ETN. You're hoping that Jonathan Brooks works out. I'd say let's do all we can with him while he's here. Continuing to have him is a big part of this offense. Mr. Philip 81 says, people will always criticize things they don't know. Everyone is a couch or a couch on the couch. Yeah, I agree. You never know, man. All right, let's see what we got going here. So, got a comment that says, I'm going to give Bryce Young his props today. I was harsh with him after the Patriots game today. He was crucial for the win. Dowdle is him. Fitzgerald's all pro season is loading. And shout out to the O line. Yeah, great summary in there. I mean, Bryce Young really, as we said, rebounding today. It was a good performance by him. Seeing him make some really clutch throws. There's some throws in there that you still want to see him get better at. Like we were talking about going back into the shotgun, some of those reads that he's able to make. But seeing what he was able to do today, I mean, he was a big part of their success. Dowdle, ridiculous, like we said. And yes, shout out to Ryan Fitzgerald, a guy that when we came into this, and of course we had the kicking competition, and you're trying to figure out, is it him? Is it Matthew Wright? Or is it neither of them? Is the kicker here? I looked at the kicking position at the start of the season as a weakness, but I think the Panthers saw something. I know they were working with the skinny goalpost earlier throughout training camp. And you know what? He rose to the top, and he's continued to execute down the stretch. I agree. Really good performance, and of course the offensive line. Can't say enough good about them and what they've been able to do. And like, this is prime Panthers football, prime any football team that I think if you ask any team, hey, we'll give you 150 plus yards on the ground, almost 200 yards on the ground every single week. You just get the line and hit somebody. I take that every day. So stout performance indeed. Yes. Drive Dine Discover One said Jalen Coker is incoming. He is. It sounded like he had a really good week of practice. I know the update last minute he was not going to be out there. I wasn't hopeful or didn't think that we would see him with it being the first week, but yeah, getting him into the lineup as well. No doubt in my mind that that's also going to be a big piece for this team, but offensive line, of course, playing really well. Ryan said that play that with Bryce Young passing to Hunter Renfrow on 4th and 3 might have been the play of the game. Yeah, that play, I was worried, and then you see him. I was like, oh, they're not going to make that catch. To me, that was the Adam Thielen. Like, I kept talking about Hunter Renfrow being the Adam Thielen replacement. That's clearly not been it. Although if you compare their stats to where they are this year, I think Hunter Renfrow is slightly better than him so far. Adam Thielen just not doing a lot there in Minnesota, but different conversation. But you look at that connection, that was a play that Bryce trusted Adam with quite a few times. Like, get him the ball, that short yardage situation. It was a really good pass. And I mean, Bryce Young being able to reckon one of the benefits when you are under gun and you're not having to turn your back on a play action, you get to read it. And he knew where he wanted to go. They called that on the broadcast. He knew where he was going with the football. And you don't really see it until they show the replay, but he had the linebacker right there who was, I mean, just he fit the ball perfectly into it. That was the difference in the game down the stretch. I agree with that. Mr. Phillips said we can go 1-200 as long as the one win is against the Cowboys. I love it, man. Gives me bubbles in my belly. That's hilarious. Love knocking off America's team. I do agree. If you like think back to the last 2 years that they've traveled here, and the Panthers haven't been able to get the job done. Third time's a charm. I also said in the pregame, those the jerseys that they wore reminded me of the Color Rush game on Thanksgiving way back during the Super Bowl run. Not comparing the two games themselves, but it was like, okay, yep, it's a little nod to that in a way. I personally love seeing the all blue out there. I wish we would wear that way more than we do right now. And Ryan said, I'm a fan of Chuba Hubbard, but you got to go with the hot hand, and that's Rico. Sure is. Chris said, make Chuba and Rico like our version of Montgomery and Gibbs in Detroit. I agree. having that 1-2 punch, and I know Panthers fans have seen it with Williams and Stewart in years past. It's doable. Panthers sitting in a really good position right now. Yeah, he said, "You mean double tutty?" Yep. All day. Phil said, "I grew up in Oklahoma in the 90s. I cannot tell you how much I loathe Dallas more than the Yankees." Oh, man, I feel your pain. That's a good one, man. A good one to take home. Let's hop up here and take a second to go back into the box score a little bit. Keep breaking this down. Yeah, we'll use this. Nope, wrong one. We're going to use this. There we go. All right. So a little deep dive into the box score. I'm going to try to zoom into here as well. We went through this. We'll also look at the team stats at the end of it. Like we said, good. I mean, honestly, couldn't have asked for much more out of Dak Prescott today. 25 of 34, 261 yards and 3 touchdowns. Bryce Young, 17 of 25, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Did not get the sack, Dak. Bryce Young was only sacked 1 time. So, I mean, again, really good performance by the offensive line, especially when you look at the right side. Yash having to fill in as that swing tackle. It's a benefit of having someone that can play both tackles. Cade Mays still holding it down, and then Brady Christensen doing their thing. Being able to, like, coming into this game, Javonte Williams, number 3 in rushing, top 5 in the NFL, holding him to 29 yards. I mean, unreal performance. As a team, the Dallas Cowboys ran for 31 yards on the day. For the Panthers, ended up putting up 216 total yards, 183 of those by Dowdle. ETN was 17, Jimmy Horn Jr. with 11. Bryce Young scrambled a few times, got the 5. I also, I agree with people. I did not understand, like, no offense to DJ Dallas, but I did not understand putting DJ Dallas in there. And that was the first drive. I really felt it was like, why? You feed the hot hand, do what you got to do, especially in that situation. You settle for a field goal. Luckily, in the end, didn't hurt him. We talked about Pickens going off 9 for 168, 1 touchdown. Maybe you had him in fantasy. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you have Dowdle in fantasy too. I don't have either of those. Jake Ferguson, 3 for 33. Ryan Flournoy had 3 for 30. And then their fullback had the other touchdown. It's a really good play design. I wanted to get really ticked off because it felt like a rub route, PI, all that stuff. And then Greg Olsen, of course, has to break it down so eloquently. And it's like, okay, I guess I won't get too upset, even though I wanted to get upset with it happening within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. Rico Dowdle, again, like we said, leading in receptions and yards, 4 for 56, 1 touchdown. Tommy Tremble, really nice catches. I mean, that's one of the things that's been underlooked. I know he's not putting up a ton of stats, but he's made some clutch catches. 4 for 39, caught all 4 of his targets. Jimmy Horn Jr., 2 for 36, caught both of his. That had 3 catches, not a big day, 29 yards, not a big day there, but the 2 touchdowns. Then Mitchell Evans, another nice catch. Like, we're starting to see the pieces flow together. 1 for 21. XL had 2 for 11. And shout out to XL. I mean, I think all Panthers fans saw what happened with David Newton and ESPN leading into this. I know I posted about it. Just terrible for Newton to ask the question that he did. I'm not going to go too far into it, but ridiculous. But good to see him perform. Also, hats off to the broadcast. Like, I don't know if they knew what had been circulating, but they did a nice job talking about XL's family, the meaning of the game, talking about losing his mom to cancer, his dad with the heart attack, how they grew up Cowboys fans, how this game meant something to him. So that was really nice in my opinion. Hunter Renfrow, only 1, but that 1, 7 yards, first down, helped the Carolina Panthers be able to close it out. Oh yeah, we did not talk about yet the fumble that happened. So Rico Dowdle and XL, we did get confirmation that Dowdle told XL or asked XL to lateral it in that situation. Just a dumb all-around play by both of those guys. And Canales in the post game told them not to make stuff up, which I agree. Don't make crap up if you don't need to. That one worried me because it's like, okay, now you're going to get out of field goal range. You're going to leave points off the board. You could have almost turned it over, to be honest. I thought for sure that Dallas was going to come up with it. So just like, let's not do any of that. You had that one fumble by Prescott too, down close to the goal. It felt like, oh man, if we could have picked that one up. Dallas gets really lucky. I mean, I don't remember who the defender was that was right there, but it was almost like they could have gotten the ball, unable to do so. I don't remember Jalen Cropper, number 16, fumbling. So, anyways, defensively, again, shout out to Christian Roseboom and Trevin Wallace, both of those guys that I've given a lot of grief to. They started to find something with the adjustment of who's calling the plays, which is Trevin Wallace. Roseboom playing a little more freely. The team itself, man, I know we talk about the defensive front being able to do their job and create opportunities for the linebackers to fly around. That's part of what's happening, and their reason that you're able to shut down the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Jackson with 5, Nick Scott with 4. Wallace and Jackson both had tackles for loss. Merrick had 1 tackle for loss. Brown with 1. Bobby Brown, I should say Derrick Brown, since we have 2. Bobby Brown third with 1. So 5 tackles for loss on the day. Only 2 tackles for loss on the side of Dallas. Shamar James with 11 tackles. Kenneth Murray Jr. with 7. The 1 interception for the Cowboys we talked about. Kick returns. Not a lot happening there. All right, let's see if we can pull up the team stats here. I'll pause this so it doesn't play over. This, when I went back after the game and started looking at this, I was like, wow. But then it kind of makes sense. 27 first downs for the Panthers compared to 15 for Dallas. 12 of those passing, only 1 rushing first down for the Cowboys. 2 first downs for the Carolina Panthers off of penalties. Third down efficiency, Cowboys were 5 of 12, Panthers 3 of 8. Both teams were perfect on 4th down, 2 for 2, 1 for 1. Dallas with 53 offensive plays, Carolina with 64. You've got that final drive just working the way down the field. You also think about Dallas having a shorter field there after the interception. So part of the reason that the math plays out like that. How about the Panthers offense having another 400-yard performance? Again, Bryce Young not out here having to throw for 300 yards. But when you can lean into the rushing attack the way the Panthers have, I mean, stack it up. So back-to-back weeks with over 400 yards. Panthers offense starting to find some rhythm. Again, run defense also doing its job. Compared to 292 for the Cowboys, Panthers average 6.4 yards per play. 5.5 for Dallas, who already broke down the passing stats and the rushing stats. Penalties, pretty even as far as the number. 6 penalties by both teams. 37 for the yards for the Cowboys. 57 for the Panthers. Only 1 turnover. Panthers had the ball 32 minutes compared to 27, almost 28 minutes for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, taking a look now at the picture in the NFC South, Tampa Bay looks to be rolling. Who's surprised? I'm not, but they're beatable. We'll worry about them way down the road once we get there. The Carolina Panthers officially second in the NFC South at 3-3. They have allowed 146 points on the year, given up put up 132. We can take a look at, I was actually looking at it's early, but the way too early expanded standings. The Panthers slowly working themselves back up this chart. It's taking time, but you think about them being close to the bottom and where they were. So they're sitting at 3-3 right now. Actually, we can take a look at the way too early playoff picture just to see where they stack up. So right now at number 10, the number 10, which aligns to where the standings are right now. But the number 10 team, we know 7 teams make it. So it's all about how do we get there? Slow and steady. Take a look back here, which we break down the Panthers schedule every week that we go into this. We might as well take a good look here while we're on the live stream. So again, traveling up to New York to take on the Jets. Got to get this one. 4-3. 4-3. I'm going to keep saying it for the Carolina Panthers. Big opportunity for them. Home game against Buffalo. Know that's going to be a tough one. Travel up to Green Bay. Again, difficult, but winnable. Then you've got a stretch here with New Orleans, Atlanta, and then Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers. Like looking at the back half of the schedule, once we get past Atlanta, removing New Orleans from the mix. So you think about San Francisco, likely in contention for a playoff spot. The Rams, yes, in contention for a playoff spot, as always. Tampa Bay, of course, and then Seattle. Not an easy stretch. So again, if I'm the Panthers and it's early, but you got to start stacking these wins. And I mean, honestly, if you keep playing the way that you're doing, and if you can figure a few things out, if you can get, like we said, a few more pressures, maybe a few more sacks, maybe force a few turnovers, if you can continue to play this way on the offensive side of the ball, I think you're going to give yourself a chance. I mean, we've seen that the Panthers have been down the past 2 weeks or put themselves in situations where they aren't in the best spot. And they've been able to battle back into games. And again, that's even looking at where the team is now health-wise on the offensive side of the ball. So it's an exciting time for once. It doesn't say for once, but I mean, honestly, since I've started doing this, been at it for, this is the 3rd season. This is probably the best that the Panthers, not probably, it is the best the Panthers have been through this stretch, which is exciting. I just want to see them, like we talked about, continuing to build off of that moving forward. I know I talked about this a little bit. One of the wildest things, and this has not been updated. It just got updated. Did it? I don't know if here we go. We'll pull over to stats. Yep. You look at Rico Dowdle, and maybe I got to go back to, sorry, we did the game log. There we go. It is insane. I'm going to pull up the calculator on the side because I just want to actually have the number here for my reference to know like where we were. So through 4 weeks of the season, yeah, I thought it was around 80 to 90. Through 4 weeks of the season, Rico Dowdle had 83 rushing yards. And my guess is he probably was way back. Like, I'm going to say top 50-ish, maybe even further back in rushing yards through that point in the season. To see him now be able to come back with 206 and the average 9 yards per carry, 6.1 yards per carry, putting himself up. This says 20th in the NFL, but that's not. I was looking at the NFL rushing stats before this on the season, and he has creeped his way back into the top 5, and I want to say top 3 if it'll load. Yeah, he is now number 3 in the NFL in rushing yards, 472 yards in a 2-week span. Not only passing over Chuba Hubbard. You think about, I mean, if he had been able to play like this, of course, the first few weeks, he'd probably be leading the entire NFL in rushing yards. Javonte Williams, who we just played and shut down, only has 4 more. Jonathan Taylor, having a fantastic season, has 603. You compare that, though, if you were to take Jonathan Taylor, who has roughly 35 more carries. Like if you were to keep the same pace that we are now, I think given Dowdle those extra carries, he would definitely be leading, given where he's at right now. Just a testament to where this team is. And I can actually share this. Sorry, guys. I was sharing the wrong piece, but just so y'all can see that. Hard to believe it. Really is. And excited to have Chuba back. I'm curious where this will put the Panthers as a team. I feel like more than likely they've got to be creeping up to one of the top rushing offenses in the NFL. I'm going to see we use team rankings. I doubt that it has. There's a chance, but I doubt that it's updated right now. We'll try to see if we've got it. And you guys can't see it. I'm trying to. This doesn't want to work. Pull it up there. Anyways, we'll know next week once we get into our preview. Actually, we're going to try one other way to do this, just because I want to know. Although I doubt it's team stats, rushing stats. Okay, yeah. Number three team in the NFL rushing yards per game. Carolina Panthers offense, ridiculous. Number 3 at 100. Let's share this for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. Go back up here. So they are putting up 142 yards per game. Again, 3rd in the NFL. 7th in the number of rushes. Again, about 30 rushes per game. So what's that split? I still think it's probably going to be a 50-50 split, which means a little less ETN, but we'll see. I'd probably go 60-40 until Dowdle slows down. I mean, give Dowdle 20 touches, give Chuba Hubbard 10. That's the way I would do it. Averaging 5 yards per rush, which is 4th in the NFL, and rushing the ball about 44% of the time. Bit of a change. Might as well look at everything else. So 22 points per game, which is ranked 19th in the NFL. Offense, 330 yards per game, which is 17th. 3rd down conversion rate's about 39%. 4th down is 64%. Defensively, again, giving up 24 points per game. So not quite top 20, but 21st. Giving up 308 yards per game, which is ranked 11th. So really good there. And then number 12, 3rd down defense in the NFL. Progress. I mean, especially when you, at least for me, when we talked about the Carolina Panthers defense coming into this season, it was, I want to see them top 20-ish, like mediocre, middle of the pack defense. And, you know, you get into 15, 16, 17 within that range. I think, at least for me, I would be comfortable buying into that from there. Let's take a look at the last thing here. We'll probably get ready to close out this episode. We'll look at the ball possession drive chart summary for the Dallas Cowboys. Really good start to the game. You talk about a 3 and out, and I know they were discussing it on the broadcast, the Cowboys running the ball on that opening drive and how the Cowboys are really a team that's great at passing the ball on 1st and 2nd down. They ran. So nice punt. Then followed that up with a 10-play, 68-yard drive for the Cowboys that resulted in a field goal. Then they had 2 back-to-back drives that resulted in a touchdown. Of course, the one first came off of the interception. I mean, they started the ball on the 12-yard line. There was only so much that Carolina could do there, the defense, that is. The following was a 13-play, 70-yard drive at the end of the half. And the second half, had a punt on their first possession Follow that up with a touchdown, 6-play, 58-yard drive, and then the field goal, 10 plays, 61 yards. And then another 3 and out. I mean, defense came up big down the stretch. So their average starting field position was their 34-yard line. Panthers' average starting field position was their 23. So 11-yard difference in favor of the Cowboys. Has to do with the turnover. The Panthers did not punt the ball until the third quarter. Only punted the ball 2 times the whole game. So go down the field, 8 plays, 63 yards. Really thought that they were going to be able to punch that in or at least get a touchdown. You needed it, but settle for a field goal. They were actually moving the ball okay, 6-play, 21-yard drive. And, if T-Mac catches that, drive keeps going more than likely. The interception, of course, stalled it. And then have a 6-play, 65-yard drive. Results in a touchdown. And the field goal right before half for the Panthers. They come out 4 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. Next drive was 6 for 25 and a punt. Then 10 for 65 and a touchdown, a punt off of a 3 and out. And then the final drive, 15 plays. That is a long drive. That was the longest drive by either team. Took down the entire 6 minutes and 7 seconds. That is, you hear about 4-minute drives, you hear about 2-minute drives. When you're trying to churn down the clock at the end of the game and run it down, being able to control the ball for 6 minutes is big. But 15 plays, 59 yards, field goal difference in the game. Last thing, I said this was going to be the last thing, but I am curious about the explosive plays or big plays and what that looked like. So I'll pull that up on here. Let's see what we got. For the Cowboys, they had a 45-yard pass to Pickens, 34-yard pass to Pickens. I mean, pick your poison. 31-yard pass to Pickens. I mean, it just kept going. They had the defensive holding on that too. I think that was the hurdle. A 19-yard pass to Ferguson was the touchdown, a 13 and a 12. I mean, again, all of these passes, the thing that you don't see are any runs. They did not have a run as one of their explosive plays. So, good performance on the side of the Carolina Panthers. The Rico Dowdle touchdown. He was wide open. 36-yarder. Jimmy Horn Jr., man. If he had just been able to kind of creep a little bit more down the sideline, but still really nice pickup. 34 yards. That was coming, right out of halftime. Right out of halftime, third quarter, first play. You open up the drive with a monster 34-yard gain like that. That's one way to get things going. 21-yard pass to Mitchell Evans, a 19-yarder to T-Mac for the touchdown. Pass to Tommy Tremble for 16, to XL for 15. Dowdle in the mix with quite a few runs. Nice day. Really nice day for the Carolina Panthers. All right, let me get back in here. Awesome, man. Well, folks, how long have we been here? We've been in here an hour. An hour is more than enough time for us to celebrate a Carolina Panthers dub. If you are out there, wherever you're watching, Facebook, Twitter, X, be sure to come over to YouTube. Or if you're on YouTube right now, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us, helps me. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Try to watch all comments as they come through. And yeah, man, appreciate you guys tuning in. Exciting win for the Carolina Panthers. Big opportunity this week against the Jets. You guys know we will be back, as we always are, with the preview of the upcoming game. Hard to believe we are 6 weeks through the NFL season. Carolina Panthers off to one of the best starts that they've had in quite a while. absolutely the best start under the Bryce Young era. Very short era here with Bryce Young, but we're getting there, man. As always, folks, that's going to do it for today. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.